We welcome Sonjoy Roy.
Thank you. Thank you, Rima.
We'll just start in a minute. I would request everyone to kindly mute yourself and only unmute in case you need to speak when you are due to speak. Otherwise, please mute yourself. So we have already crossed 165 attendees today and will be just beginning in a minute. Welcome, Mr. Mana. Very good morning.
Good morning, Dheeraj. How are you?
All fine, sir.
No, sir. Good morning, Ranbir, that side.
Morning, Mr. Ranbir. Nice to see you. Nice to have you here.
So let's formally begin, and I'm muting everyone with your permissions. A very happy morning to all of you. Welcome to HHC Slowdown episode 8. Let us quickly go through with the flow of today's episode. We have just started and will be going through with our episode discussion, followed by a small presentation by our episode partner, that is SDS Home Decor. And then we'll follow the most important part, that is the business networking, 1:25 p.m. onwards. At this point of time, I would request all of you to kindly spare a single minute and like us on Facebook by visiting our Facebook page, that is facebook.com/Happy Hotelier Club. Your likes would help us boosting our morale and serve you better in the future. So kindly spare a minute and like us on Facebook. And before we actually go further, let me share a few of the expectations from this episode. This episode is based on future focus of travel and tourism industry, where we'll be discussing about the domestic tourism, shift towards responsible tourism, redefining of strategies for MICE and hotel industry, steps being taken to build sustainable tourism in the real way, and the next thing here, go local, be vocal, the new way to go. Before we go further, let me just take a small recap of our previous episodes. We started with our slowdown episode 1 on 28th of March, where we discussed about the crisis which hotel industry is going through, followed by our episode 2, where we discussed about redefining sustainability. And then we discussed about the impact of slowdown on the workforce. Then we had our episode 4, where we discussed about the operating cost which restaurants are bearing, which is and how they can cope up with the current scenario. Then we had our episode 5 on 21st of April, where we discussed about the major operational costs like energy, water, and other sources in respect to these conditions. Then we had our episode 6, where we have discussed that how hospitality industry is badly impacted by COVID-19. And our last episode was episode 7, and we had it on 6th of May, where we discussed recent measure and further possibilities by the industry leaders in different categories. Let me formally welcome you to HHC Slowdown Episode 8. At this point of time, I would request Ms. Taran Full to kindly introduce our guest moderator for the day. Over to you, Taran.
Thank you, Dheeraj. It's a great honor to welcome all the panel speakers for the day today for our HHC Slowdown Episode 8. We also have a great pleasure in announcing Rima Lokesh, who's our guest moderator for the day today. Rima, as you well know, a lot of us must be resonating with her name. She's a known person in the media industry. And let me just introduce her and her her new venture and what she's doing currently. So Rima is a leading name, as you all know. She's been with Indian Express for a very long time. And after a fulfilling 18 years with the Indian Express, Rima has very recently launched a media platform which is called remarkable.com. And it aims to share stories of sense and not sensation, which is very important in today's time. Rima is also a life and a clarity coach and an Indian classical dancer, which hardly anybody knows. And she's qualified as a dancer from the Banaras School of Kathak. A woman of versatile talents and very warm person as well. So over to Rima. I think we will really rock with this episode with Rima with us, and she will take it on with the panel today. Over to you, Rima.
Thank you so much, Tarandeep, for this very, very warm welcome. And before I even begin, I want to say a humble thank you to this very happy club called the Happy Hoteliers Club. What I truly appreciate is 3 professionals from the industry decided to come together to make a difference. And whenever I spoke to you, there was something very happy that this definitely resonates with you. So congratulations on your initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, most importantly, you all are my valued audience. We are here in it together. We are here in it fighting a pandemic, a mighty midget that's taken everybody by storm. This mighty midget which has showed us the way to live today. Happy Hoteliers Club is in fact doing that in its own special way by bringing people on a happy note together. Happy Hoteliers Club was conceptualized in January 2020 and is a brainchild of 3 passionate hoteliers, as I just said, with the purpose of bringing hoteliers on a common platform for communication, exchange of ideas on industry-related issues, new trends and practices. A perfect place for any hotelier to come together and interact, share, rediscover their own selves. Their mission statement is very clear. The world first and the best platform for hoteliers to provide happier ways of networking, learning, exchanging ideas, and for even career assurances. We have with us Mr. Ashish Gupta, who is a passionate hotelier with corporate experience and his core specialities. He served brands in India and the USA. He's been a part of the pre-opening of the JP Green's Golf and Spa Resorts and has been instrumental in launching the Grand Prix in India, has also contributed to the establishments of various F&B establishments and channels. Mr. Dheeraj Agarwal is a strategist and IT expert with a rich 18 years of experience and is the backbone of HHC very clearly with his managerial and his leadership skills. While Tarandeep, the lady in power, has over 20 years of experience in public relations, marketing, advertising, and hospitality, lifestyle, and luxury. She has helped many multiple brands in India, like the FI Grand Prix in India, Six Senses Spas, Papa John's, and to name a few, to launch in the high-end luxury real estate projects in India. She was also the head of PR and marketing division of India Representative Office for destinations like Canada, Holland, Philippines, Ras Al Khaimah. She also runs a brand and marketing firm called Uplifto and a PR firm called Sambandh PR. I would like to now say, on a very, very serious note, my very esteemed audience, we're here with an extremely august panel, ladies and gentlemen. Don't miss them out. They are men who have been professionals in their workplace, who put in hours of dedication in their respective areas of specialization. So here we have with us Mr. Girish Bindra, who is the VP Operations, the Surya, New Delhi. We have with us Mr. Sanjoy K. Roy, the Managing Director of Teamworks Arts and the President of EMMA. Mr. Ankush Nishavan, a known name in our travel fraternity, who's doing a lot for the upliftment of a lot of members of the travel fraternity, who is the MD of the Nishavan Group and the co-founder of the TBO Group. Mr. Siddharth Jain, who's the executive, who's a part of the executive council of ADTOI, which is Association of the Domestic Tour Operators in India, and who's also the CEO of Sapphire Ventures. And Mr. Kingshuk Vishwas, the marketing manager of Gujarat Tourism Development Corporation. And Mr. Vishwas, Mr. Jain, Mr. Nijavan, Mr. Roy, and Mr. Bindra. It's an honor to be a part of this whole panel and to have such amazing personalities with me together towards a certain cause to bring in domestic tourism and get back its respect, which it truly, truly deserves. As a media professional, I've always said that the domestic tourism is India's tourism's mainstay. And it is something that we all need to firmly believe in. At this stage, let me bring in Mr. Anil Rao, presently based in Delhi as the Regional Director and Deputy Director General North, responsible for execution and monitoring of all central schemes and projects in North India. Central Committee of more than 17 IHM central and states. He is a health geek. He has the love for all kinds of adventure activities. Mr. Anil Rao, thank you so much for being a part of this discussion on a last-minute invite. We truly appreciate your presence this afternoon. Mr. Anil, since you are here, my first question would honestly like to go to you about how prepared is our ministry today? How prepared is our ministry to take forward this challenge that this mighty midget called Corona has put in front of us? How will you take forward the concept of social distancing in tourism, and what's the game plan post-lockdown? Mr. Anil Rao, can you please speak and address my audience? Thank you.
I think Mr. Anil Rao has some technical issues. He's trying to connect with us.
All right. All right. So as your advice, Mr. Gupta, can I then proceed and not waste our precious audience time?
Yes, please.
All right. So as we move on, ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to take this opportunity now to honestly thank SDS Home Decor, who've been our rock solid partners through all our episodes. And we thank them for their support, and we hope to wish them good luck in their journey as well. And we hope to continue working with them. Moving on, let's bring on the conversation right in. And I would like to bring in Mr. Girish Bindra into this conversation right away. Today, hospitality, tourism, we all know it. We're all going through a little bit of a hardship. But are we here to cry and do a cry story? Well, not. So, Mr. Bindra, it will be really nice to tell me and to tell my audience, how do you plan, what in your eyes is about the rewriting of the rules for hospitality? What do you think should be the best practices post-lockdown and in the post-lockdown era? Mr. Bindra, over to you for the best practices that needs to be followed. Thank you.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Girish Bindra, and I want to thank the Happy Hoteliers Club for inviting me for this discussion. It's such an apt name because all hoteliers are happy. And I speak, I'm sure, on behalf of all the hoteliers. I've been in this business for more than 35 years, and it's great to be here today. So the way I want to start is, there's a friend of mine who said this very often: no storm lasts forever. And I think it's very important. No storm lasts forever. I mean, we guys globally have faced the SARS, we faced the plague, we faced 9/11. And when 9/11 happened, people swore that aircrafts have gone in to buildings and we will never fly again.
Mhm.
But still, till 5 months back, you couldn't get a seat. And that's what life is all about. So that's why I say no storm lasts forever. And I think moving forward, I'm very optimistic, but the way Reena said, we have to put certain things in place to move forward because, it's this virus is not a joke. We've all seen through it for the past 2 months. So the slogan that I would take here is clean and clean again. I think that's the need of the hour. I mean, you hear the Prime Minister all the time, you hear everyone talking about wash your hands, sanitizations, and that's what the hotel have to do. The guests are going to come in. It may be 2 months, 3 months down the line. But are they going to be satisfied? Are we going to satisfy them? That's important. Because if someone wants to send their kid into a hotel, that mother wants to be sure that kid is safe. The same way, business has to continue. So we have to ensure from our side that we do our best and ensure that we stick by the rules. I'll just run through a few pointers that I put down because I can carry on speaking on this for 5 hours, but I have limited time. So let's start with a reservation. You make a reservation for a hotel booking. And earlier what we were doing is we would ask for certain details, but today we have to go much deeper into it because we want to have, when the guest comes into the hotel, the contact with our internal people and the guest should be minimum. So try and get whatever information you can on the reservation. You got to start looking at, picking up reservation sheets and trying to get maximum information from that. Now the guest reaches the airport, you have airport transfers. If there were 2 guests, they would share it. Today, you cannot share a cab. Sanitization is very important. That car is going to go back and pick up another guest. Who's going to check that? So there are hand sanitizers, the number of packs in a car that is being transferred, who's checking that, who's looking at that, all these things are very, very important. You reach the hotel, we do a check at the porch to see whether you have fever, you don't have, okay. You come in from the car, you have 97.6, very good, you go in. You get to check in. Now we've got lines drawn there because you have to keep social distancing in mind. You don't want to spend, earlier you spent about an hour and a minute and a half or 2 minutes for check-in. Today you want to do it in less than 30 seconds. That's what it is all about. If you move forward, technically what is also happening, and I'm sure it's going to come into our country very soon, mobile check-ins. You don't even come to the reception. Everything is technology done. You have your reservations on your phone and you go straight to your room with the telephone, you open your room. That is what is going to happen. That's the latest that's going to be coming up in the hotel. So you don't even see the person who comes in, he checks in, checks out, he's paid his bills, everything is done. And that is what you'll see in the future. So in other words, no keys, least amount of interaction with your people at check-in. But there's something that we have to keep in mind here because, every guest is also being told to wear a mask. Now, security is also a big issue. Now, when you're wearing a mask and you're standing in front of the check-in counter, it is going to be a little bit of a challenge because firstly, you're standing about 3.5, 4 feet away from the person, then you're wearing a mask. So one has to be very, very careful. 2 things have to happen here. First, you've got to train your own people. And secondly, I think the guests have to understand this also, which is very, very important. You checked in, you got into the room, deep cleaning, like I said, clean and clean again, is so important. Earlier, our housekeeping attendants used to take about 25 to 30 minutes to do a room. Today, they're going to take 45 minutes to do a room. Earlier, they used to do 18 to 20 rooms. Today, they will do 10 to 12 rooms. So obviously, more time spent in the room to ensure, there's so many touch points in the room. For example, you have the switches, you have your TV remote, you have door handles, you have taps. All these things make a difference, and each one has to be looked at very carefully. And you can't just leave it to your resource who's actually doing it. You need supervision. You need responsible supervision to ensure that it's taken care of very well. Second thing, what we can look at is giving some breathing space to the room. Do not give, at least for the next 3 months where the occupancies are going to be a little low, do not give that room back to back. Keep that room vacant for 24 hours to 48 hours to give it some breathing space. Do not give joining rooms. These are some of the rules and regulations that we all need to follow moving forward. From the room, you walk into restaurants. The distances between tables, you have to have 6 feet minimum. Maximum 2 people sitting on a table. No buffets for breakfast. It has to be a la carte. There has to be fixed orders. So all these things, there are changes. We have to keep inculcating this within our staff. We've got to keep telling them this is what they have to do. At the same time, we have to keep educating our guests. From a restaurant, you move into banquets, where you had a 200 pax dinner or a lunch, and you had 2 buffets. Today, you need 4 buffets because you cannot have more than 50 people at one buffet, and that also has to be spaced out. People would pick up a ladle and help themselves. Today, we need to have that done by either our chefs or our F&B staff. They need to do this themselves because you can't have different people touching ladders and helping themselves because that's a straight. So all these things on a table where there were 8 packs sitting earlier, you can't have more than 2 or 3. So a lot of stuff, a lot of innovations have to be done for us to ensure these kind of safety standards. I would also like to take a little diversion here and go to our gyms and spas, which is also need of the hour. And, people talk about it. People today, a lot of hotels have 24-hour gyms because a lot of guests arrive at night and they want to go to the gym immediately. Now, what is going to happen in the gym is we have to watch it very closely because it will need to be shut 4, 5, 6 times a day, depending on the usage. Because every 1 hour, if you have 3, 4 guests for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, you have to shut the gym to sanitize it. You have to ensure if you have 5 treadmills, only 3 are being used because that distancing is very important. And then what is also important is we can also teach and help our guests, put in hot water with lime, increase the immunity, help the guests. And this is just putting cold water there, put hot water, lime, and things like that, which really help. So internal supervision is very, very important. What I hear is the spas are opening, but of course, that is very close. So what is going to happen is if you have a 1-hour massage going on, every 15 minutes, the masseur has to go and either sanitize his or her hands or wash them. It's important because, people will get into it, but right now this is 100% thing that has to be done. Whatever I've spoken about, I think we have this support of FHRI and FSSAI. All these federations have these rules all written down, worked out, which you can, anyone who wants some information, log into any of their sites and you'll get all this information. I think the government has done a super job on this, and this is what is a need of the hour.
Perfect.
Before I just finish, I just want to take 30 seconds more and tell you, every hotel has a revenue manager, every hotel has an F&B manager. I think moving forward, what we have to look at is a COVID manager. Someone who's really experienced, someone who's actually gone into this, someone who's studied this. Because let me tell you, moving forward, there are going to be lots of balances and checks. They're going to be, the minute you want to go to a classification committee, they're going to come in there to check. So all these things, and it's very good for you because the minute you have a COVID manager, that person can actually help and tell all your guests and be internally, we are absolutely safe there. So I'd like to now.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bindra. Oh, wow. You have given some avalanche of information, and most importantly, the precious one was the COVID manager. Oh my God. Now it's going to be an interesting new designation, but rightly so, because we truly respect every word that you said. But something very important you said about shutting gyms, ladies and gentlemen, he made some very pertinent points here. He said it's important to shut gyms, it's important to keep social distancing, the way you're going to handle your clients, your walk-ins, your guests, everything is going to change. But again, we look at it in a very positive way because there's no looking back. Thank you, Mr. Bindra. I move on a little further, ladies and gentlemen, to bring in another very eminent speaker. I would like to bring in Mr. Sanjoy K. Roy. Mr. Roy, we spoke on the sidelines that today responsible and sustainable tourism is not an option but an obligation. We finally have realized what it is to go local. We've been talking about this time and again that enough of crowding, enough of mass movements. But you are in a very unique space of managing events which are luxury, which are high profile. You've been the brain behind the literature festivals. Mr. Roy, how do you think we would look at this whole thing panning out in the future? You said something very positive to me, that Hong Kong is ready to open doors with the Hong Kong by the Bay Festival. You are very positive about it, but this positivity is with one difference. Can you please tell me and my audience what is that special difference and the way forward through your eyes? Over to you, Mr. Roy.
Thank you, Reema, and thank you, Tarandeep. I just want to refer to something that Girish said about, when you enter a hotel, you'll have a contactless experience. Girish, I hope that doesn't come to pass. The reason I prefer the Taj Hotel St. James in London is because they greet you and look after you and give you your fudge and know exactly what you want and your welcome drink. And this contactless experience that one tends to experience more in America than anywhere else already, certainly leaves me cold and dry. And given that I am a frequent traveler, pre-COVID used to be 6 months on the road, I do hope that some of that people will take precautions and understand that at the end of the day, we also travel because it's an experience. And the difference between one hotel and the other is the level of the experience, it's the level of the hospitality that you receive. And, just having a cold experience doesn't sort of allow you to enjoy one chain as opposed to another. So, just a comment on that. Absolutely, like Girish said, I think every crisis provides an opportunity to be able to reinvent. And this is the time. And even as we've paused for these last 40, 50 days, and not just here in India, but across the world, you're seeing nature come back. You're seeing our rivers clean up. You're seeing the air cleaner. You're seeing less traffic on the roads. And you're seeing a resurgence. And this resurgence obviously is very important given the state of our planet. And as Girish was saying, going forward, as we all know, COVID is not going anywhere on 28th of May or 15th of June or 30th of July. COVID is here to stay, but it's here to stay, as is measles or HIV or the influenza or what used to be the Spanish flu. And even from influenza or the flu today, 50,000 people die every year in India. So we have to learn to manage our world with COVID. And COVID is one of many pandemics that's going to sweep the world as it's done regularly. I think the big issue here, and especially being the Happy Hoteliers Forum, I would really ask you all, what can you do collectively to push back first on fear. Fear has cannibalized our common sense today. And because we have to learn how to live with it, can we learn how to live with it with common sense? Wash your hands, wear masks, ensure that every time you feel that you're in a contaminated place, take those precautions that you will. And sure, 18 months down the line, or maybe even earlier, you will see slowly, but very surely, travel will come back. People will come back to hotels. It's not going to happen very soon, but it will. I'm going to, before I answer Rima's question, at the end of February, early March, I was traveling. I was in the UK, then I was in Morocco, I was in Turkey. And every time I entered a hotel, sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mr. Roy. I can hear you.
So every time I entered a hotel, I asked the hotel manager or whoever was receiving me, I said, have you cleaned my room or is it just the regular process? And in some hotels like the Taj, I knew that they took extra precaution or extra care because they knew I was allergic to dust mites. But in most other places, in Morocco, in this beautiful hotel resort that I stayed in for the first time, I knew they hadn't done it because I got an instant allergy. And so Girish was absolutely right. What do you need to do? And I wish that the hotel industry had woken up to this in January and February, when many of us who were traveling carried on saying this to airlines and to hotels, take the precaution. So what do we envision into the future? I mean, events for many of you, it's very much part of your bottom line. Events, weddings, MICE, conventions, conferences. So is this all in the past? I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, what you and we realize is that we can do 1,000 Zoom meetings, and we do. You know, I don't know about you guys. I do Zoom calls from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night every day. I haven't worked harder than I have right now in this period for a long time. But finally, what is it that makes the experience? The experience and the memory happens when you have something that's unusual, when you have a connection, when you have a contact, when you go to an unusual space. And I think therein lies a possibility and an opportunity for the hotel industry. Remember at the end of the day that folks, who normally visit you, if you're able to build a level of trust, they will come back. But for events, I think you need to go beyond trust. You can continue to do niche weddings and marriages and conventions and conclaves and so on and so forth. And we have put together for government a protocol for this, for hotels, for heritage spaces, for museums, for outdoor spaces. And you will see a slow opening up, initially up to 50 people, then 100 people, and then 150 people. But in all of this, as earlier I was talking to the wedding industry folks, where bigger equals brighter, equals more money, equals we're showing our wealth. What we are suggesting is that niche can do it equally well. Say you have a wedding only for 50 people in your convention center, 50 people at a time, but you break up your hotel convention spaces in a way that any one space, which is curated beautifully at any one given point of time, can have between 20 to 30 people moving through it. So pretty much like a Zoom seminar where you can go into a room and you can do something there, and you can go to another room and do something else there, create opportunities. Similarly, for those of you hotels who are in exotic locations far away from the madding crowd, where charter is still possible, where bespoke opportunities are still possible, market those. Market them with heritage. But in all of this, again, this is the time we need to collectively look at zero waste. We need to understand the environment. We need to be responsible in terms of tourism. And I think the other opportunity that's staring and was sort of voiced by the Prime Minister today, local is the new global. So look around. What is it that you can reach out to them to do in your hotel spaces? Therein, there is an opportunity. And we've been working or advising some government door. Maybe just turn and look behind. Maybe there's a window open which will open its space to a whole new environment, to a whole new way of doing work. Rima? Tarandeep and Rima.
Yeah, Rima, are you there?
At this point, can Mr. Roy, I'm sorry, I hope I'm clear now.
Rima, I can't hear you clearly. I don't know whether the other can.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, now we can. Rima, can I just come in for 30 seconds?
Yeah, Girish.
I just want to say something on Sanjoy's. Sanjoy, I love the fact, and let me tell you, it's the happy hoteliers club, and we hoteliers are very happy, and we love to hug and kiss our guests when they come in, because for me, relationships are very, very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we don't qualify as hoteliers if relationships are not there. So I'm sure we will find some ways of ensuring that you get that welcome drink and you get that fudge chocolate.
It makes a world of a difference. And, every time, and especially when you travel to the West as opposed to travel to the East, as you know, Girish, where they're far more impersonal because it's only a job as opposed to a passion, which many of you hoteliers, at least the old school hoteliers, have. The difference is huge. And I hate to go back to these chain hotels. They're horrible. They are soul stultifying. And because you travel so much, you want the comfort of something that's unusual. So, the library hotel chains, for example, is one in America that I love because they just make you welcome. And they know what book you like and they ensure it's in your room. And they know the kind of margarita or the martini that you want, or my 4 o'clock espresso shot. So they make that extra effort, and I hope that doesn't go away.
Yeah, and end of the day, it's a personalization. I think that's what it is all about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. So I thoroughly believe, and I firmly want to say this, that as Mr. Roy said, going local is the new global. And once again, responsible and sustainable tourism is not an option anymore, but an obligation. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring in Mr. Anil Rowe. I think Mr. Anil Rowe, which we couldn't connect a while ago, is with us already. Mr. Anil Rowe, can you hear me, please?
Sure. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you, and we can also hear you now. And a very warm welcome to you, Mr. Rowe.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm so sorry that I had a call from my head office, so I was just a little late. Anyway, I could hear Mr. Roy very well.
Fantastic, Mr. Anil. We are very happy to have you, and once again, thank you very much, because I know it was, you've been kind enough to come in with us on a little urgent invite. Sir, if you don't mind, can you take this question of mine, which is a little pertinent, about what's the industry, what's the tourism ministry doing? How prepared are we to handle Mr. COVID and the future with Mr. COVID? Your touch points, your social distancing, everything, Mr. Anil, if you can encapsulate it for us in the next 3 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon, and thanks to all my panelists. I could hear Mr. Roy. I missed the other, initially the other speakers. But you see, now what happened? The situation at the ministry is, we are all waiting for a confirmed SOPs by incorporating all the ideas from ICMR, IMA, NABH, and other agencies, developed one SOP as a draft and circulated to all stakeholders for their comments, maybe by this weekend. Uh, that's the one. That is the most important thing, because now confidence building, as Mr. Roy said, the hotels, but as we know, we do give the recognition of hotels depending on the quality, but now the situation has changed. So now there should be many more checks and bounds, you can say. For example, earlier we used to certify the hotel with the doctor's medical certificate of the persons who are handling food every 6 months. But now the situation, there should be medical test, like particularly blood test for every individual person who will be in touch, who will be coming into touch with the guest. So that should be new thing ministry is thinking, and as well as it is for all the industry. Not only that, even the quality, the linen, the pillow. So there should be a rapid change, and in the guidelines. As I will just quote one thing, that big chains, as Mr. Roy said, big chain has big plans, but we are concentrating on the middle level, like 3-star, 4-star hotels, which could have this certification and the confidence among people that the hotel is safe to go. As Mr. Roy rightly said, that people will travel, and people need to travel for many reasons. In that respect, Government of India at this moment is focusing. We are planning our whole marketing and promotional plan, concentrating of domestic destinations which are unknown, little known, or like driving holidays, some unusual adventures, with the students, with the stargazing, or like wildlife safari, not very far from home. So this sort of plan we are already doing, and it will be, we'll be working with this, with the travel trade. I had a meeting with today also with the IATO representative. So we will support the travel trade also in starting this small but slow movement of people. Just like, as you know, we are all 60 days almost in confined room. After maybe 1 month or 2 months, something opens, then I may go to 4 hours drive to Mussoorie or Simla or Alwar or somewhere in Uttarakhand. So that slowly it will come, because people will live with the corona, whether the vaccine comes up or not, with the social distancing. So that way, our if you see the interview of our Honorable Minister in Outlook Express few days back, he also said the same thing, Mr. Prahlad Singh Patel, that let's start and focus on the domestic tourism in a minimum level, minimum number, and explore the hidden treasures which India is abundant with. I will just tell you, like from here in Manesar, there is a 150 battalion or some a place where in the green field, the one army colonel has developed a resource which is amazing. Like, if you go in the like only about 35 kilometers from Connaught Place. So this kind of thing we are going to push, and we as a regional offices in Calcutta, Madras, Chennai, Delhi, we are having our own online platforms like Facebook and YouTube, and we are pushing to the domestic destinations every second or third day. Even headquarter is having a lot of webinars, centrally driven webinars. We are also planning. So that way, but again, first thing now, the certification of a place which is hygiene, that is the most important thing, as well as like suppose you want to hire a driver like Ola and Uber. So we are planning to have the hygiene and sensitization course or small workshops for the drivers, for the cab drivers, for the hotel bellboy and all these things. So this is our plan, so that people knows that this man is fit to interact, or man is fit to and without any suspicious about having a positive or no. So that sort of things is a big task. But as we all know that things comes and things goes, so I think it will also go off very soon, and hopefully by end or by this season, like after Puja or like the Dasera, I think we will be traveling domestically, not far from home, but definitely within our like what you call driving destination. Thank you. If you have any other questions, I am
Yes,
here also.
I don't have a question, but Mr. Anil, you've been very kind to say that there is going to be guidelines, there are going to be SOPs. I firmly believe that this tourism story is a story of synergies between public-private partnerships. We cannot do it individually. We're all in it together. Can you please tell me only this one thing? When will the private sector get some kind of assurance or some clear 100% guidelines from the ministry saying that we are with you, this is how we need to go forward? Real-time PPP, real-time on-ground policies rather than on paper.
Now you see, I am with the, I know, as you know, I think the other panelists also, they have seen that SOPs. Yes. Again, I know the SOP is also to be done in consultation with all the other agencies, which is still for every industry that is a separate SOPs. So that is, you leave that one. It has to go to minister and all that. I cannot tell you at the moment, but right. my level, I am telling my level, I am ready to support the trade. Support the trade, individual trade or hoteliers within my power, whatever you want to do. For example, suppose a hotel has in far remote area near like Valley of Flowers or Almora or like Josimar. The hoteliers wants to promote his hotel place there, please come, 8,000 above sea level. I can work with the hoteliers to promote his property among the potential travelers in Rajasthan or in Jammu or in northern India. And the same way, my colleagues sitting in Chennai or sitting in Kolkata, they can help in promoting that hotel in terms of like not only facilitating, maybe you can support for hosting some webinar or like some small campaign on online. So these small things we are ready to offer to our trade partners.
Fantastic, Mr. Anil. I think this was a very, very positive and a powerful statement you made, that you are here to support the industry and you're here to support small. And today, small ideas make a big difference. On this positive note, I tell you, thank you, Mr. Anil, and thank you for being a part of this whole discussion at our short notice. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much and all the best. Take care and stay safe.
Sure. And Mr. Shukla, who is the principal of IHM Panipat and Faridabad, if you're around, we want to thank you as well.
I think
yes.
I would like to add on something on this, that I'm very grateful to Mr. Oraon, because yesterday evening only, I spoke to him when Ashish asked me, Ashish, the CEO of that Happy Hoteliers Club, that for today's, because today is a big function, a big seminar, and got such a big dignitaries and moderator also. So he said to me that, could I arrange something big? I said, no problem. Mr. Rao is the best person. I would like to tell the people, he's the regional director of India Tourism, entire North. So under his belt, the entire North classification is there. He's a fitness freak person. He can be a good big yoga teacher or big cyclist or anything. And along with this, he's a board of governors member of all IHMs in the North. So I'm very grateful to Sir Mr. Rao for sparing your valuable time. Thank you, sir.
I will just tell one information. Like I am riding from Dwarka to my office, 20-30 kilometer cycle to work.
Thank you.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I still respect time, so I would really appreciate if we can, take on more discussions now and move on to Mr. Nijawan. Ankush Nijawan, are you here with us, please?
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Ankush, you have been in the space of the online business, B2B, and more so with so many other tourism boards as well. Your question is very focused on how do you see opportunities amidst adversities? Because you have always seen these opportunities. Can you please share it with my audience?
Thank you, Rima, and thank you everybody at HHC to invite me. I think, Rima, the world's focus or the travel agents' focus today will change immensely post-corona. I see this an opportunity which was very, very undermined people never looked at domestic in a very serious way. I mean, you know the industry very well, so I don't need to talk about this. But I think 30 million people traveling overseas was a mad rush, obviously growing at a very rapid pace. And suddenly now, every 30 million is thinking what to do in the summer break, June, July. Everybody has the hunger to travel, talking to the fraternity across India, and everybody's clients are talking to them. Clients are very happy and asking them what should they do this summer. So I think that opportunity from a 10 million shift now, which was obviously including inbound, will now move looking at this space. Many operators, and I think majority of the operators in India never looked at domestic very seriously. I think it was basically corporate domestic travel and obviously inbound. But I think people like us, the big boys of the industry, and obviously the unorganized long tail will focus now on domestic in a very big way. I have been studying destinations myself, which I never heard were in India actually, right? Monsoons, for example, I see small short breaks happening effective very quickly in June, July when the lockdown eases up. For example, Maharashtra, people will travel into Lonavala, people will go into Kandala. The monsoon getaways, which were never discussed in India, have been actually been spoken about. People want to actually see the rains now. Come Diwali, obviously, you know, destinations which are very isolated, in my opinion, will pick up a lot of speed. Wildlife, which is very unexplored in India. I mean, imagine we go to Kenya to actually see a wildlife where we have such amazing stuff in Gir or Pench in Nagpur. The minds have started opening. I think tech was never a tool which was played in the domestic market. I think a lot of great companies in India will look finding technology solutions which will make domestic travel very seamless. Margins, obviously, this space is going to become very crowded, right? Again, everybody will start looking at this piece of business line, but I think margins are something which everybody needs to improve, right? Because I think reserves and surplus is very important. And I think every majority of the companies were all hand to mouth. You know, good days is something everybody has seen in the last 20 years. Now everybody has challenges, paying bills, paying salaries, you know, taking money home. And I think this is where sense will prevail of working on margins. People become organized. I see the men getting differentiated. The men and the boys will separate now. A lot of quality will come in because I think things will change. Work from home, obviously, is something that everybody is talking in the panel. I think will become very efficient. It will save a lot of cost for a lot of companies, especially when it comes to real estate, you know, saving rentals. So I think you will see this sector evolving. It will get organized more because serious players who are very tech savvy and are very large in their own space. So we are going to bring this plethora of inventory to the fraternity, which is going to look at this space very seriously. Hotels are going to be very forthcoming. I think every hotel you pick up and you say that I have 20 rooms, it feels like the guy is just going to come to your house and make sure that you take the money away and get that booking. I think that desperation right now, I'm sorry, I should not use the word desperation. I think the hunger right now is going to be immense for the next 1 year. And I think this is a great opportunity for people to negotiate, get their contracts in place. I would love to support India. And let's be honest, Mr. Modi's speech last 15 August was कि हर हिंदुस्तानी वचन लो कि तुम इंडिया देखोगे 5 साल में. I think that 5 is, I think that 5 years probably become 2 years when everybody will start exploring India, be it Northeast, be it other markets, except Goa and Kerala, which is the but obvious. I think there's many more opportunities, including myself. I'm looking at going somewhere now myself in June by a car, right? Where obviously there's so many such great options for us, right? So I think if a lot of employment, it will get margin for a lot of people. It will make sure that the 10 million will now move to at least 20 million in the next 1 year. I think that's something which will, and I think pricing will have correction. Be it hotels, you know, which I think were very expensive when you compare to a Bangkok or a Dubai or Singapore.
Ankush, wow. So you have brought in 3 very pertinent points. One is you said there will be a difference between the boys and the men now. That's an important statement, of course, and I know many people understand that. You spoke about technology, harnessing it to a next level now. And also this very interesting point about price corrections in this industry. We need to respect that as well, as you said, and the hunger to do more. And most importantly, getting into India's offbeat journeys and offbeat routes. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely. Bang on.
Fantastic. So India's future is going to be smaller travel to closer places, drivable destinations, offbeat routes is what we sum up with Mr. Ankush's discussions, and most importantly, price correction.
last thing, Riva, it's not going to be a short term. This is going to become a standard going
It's
forward.
going to be the standard norm.
Want to put the eggs in the same basket. People will ask not explain. And I again say the same thing. The inbound guys or domestic should are looking at outbound also, because God forbid something happens in India tomorrow.
Interesting, very interesting. And of course, as you said, I hate using this word new normal, because in my eyes, what is new normal? Everything becomes normal, right? After 9/11, we started getting frisks at hotels. What was normal? So anyways, guys.
2021.
Yes.
Back to 2019 normal. It's all in the mind. I think it's a matter of 6 months.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you're leaving us on a little bit of an upbeat note. Thank you very much for that upbeat attitude, which is very positive. I move on to bring in our panelist, Mr. Siddharth Jain. Siddharth, you have been a part of the Association of Domestic Tour Operators and of course the CEO of Sapphire Ventures. Siddharth, you had told me on the sidelines that, as Ankush actually said, and we are interestingly moving on to this conversation about domestic tourism getting into being a crowded space, because tour operators are going to watch it now very, very closely. The fashionable world is going international, might go a little slow now, and we're all going to zoom in into India. Siddharth, do you have a concern you want to discuss with my audience about price corrections, undercutting, and very sensitive topics such as this? Siddharth, I bring you in here.
Thank you so much, Rima. Thank you, HHC, for inviting me for this lovely discussion. I would like to mention a few things and add to a lot of things what Ankush has already told the audience already. I treat this year personally as a zero year for myself. Okay, and I would like to communicate to everyone that we need to treat this as a zero period and not and just try to float around. Okay, the agenda is not making money for next 1 year, but to survive ourselves to when the market bounces back, when everything gets normal, then we should be able to, take it forward from where we left actually. So this is one thing. When it comes to the market share, suddenly all the segments of our industry, whether be it outbound, inbound, ticketing agents, anybody and everybody has started talking about domestic tourism. There are a few things which need to be taken care of. Ankush has already mentioned about the price correction. There's gonna be a price correction, but there's also gonna be a lot of undercutting, which I foresee, which should not happen. We all need to, we had reserves, we had cash reserves. End of the business, end of it, we all have to make money. So whether it is a hotelier, whether it is a tour operator, whether it is a transport owner, we all have to make money. So we need to make some margins. So just be careful with the undercutting or, the blind competition which we do in the market. Anyways, there'll be a very limited cake in the market. So we need to be very careful. What we need to do is we need to play on value adds, or maybe a service, or maybe some kind of an innovative offering. Go back to your relationships, maintain your relationships, go back to your customers and say thank you, retain them as much as possible, show them your support, take their help. So focus on your market, focus on your products, rather than getting into a price war or a undercutting. That is one thing. Second, I would like to suggest everyone, or say rather, as Ankush has rightly mentioned, that market will change and it will segregate men from boys. So we all need to identify there's a lot of noise. We all need to identify who are the real men, who are the real product owners or right suppliers. We need to focus on right suppliers and right hotels. So this is a very important aspect. And for the hoteliers, I mean, they are already talking about a lot about all the touch points, improving all the touch points. In particularly, when it comes to the touch points, I would like to mention that, there will be a lot of there's already a overcrowding in a lot of tourist places in domestic tourism.
Mm-hmm.
So we and even MOT needs to pay attention to this. People are overcrowding places like Taj monuments, like Qutub Minar, or places like Khajuraho. These are all overcrowded spots.
Mm-hmm.
MOT needs to bring in the guideline and manage these spots. Only MOT and the government can do it. The state level and the central level can do it. A private player can manage up to its hotel or a transport, but beyond that, the government needs to take onus and bring in the measures.
Yeah.
Yes, SOPs are very important and they are eagerly awaited by the government. We hope the government is able to take care of all this on the ground. So that is very, very important. So, in terms of selling and in terms of sanitization, we have all spoken about it. We all need to treat this period as a slowdown and stay afloat in the market. So that's my advice to all my audience and colleagues.
Fantastic. Siddharth, thank you so much. You mentioned that it's important for each of us to respect our clients, to say go back to them, connect with them, stick to our certain formats, and respect each other's workplace is what you're clearly saying. Respect your domain, right, Siddharth?
Yes.
Absolutely. And you also said this very interesting thing, which I ask Mr. Anil actually about how the MOT is going to do this entire thing about social distancing and, managing crowds, which is so pertinent actually. And you also said, like Ankush also mentioned, and also Mr. Roy mentioned, that slowing down is the way of speeding up today.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. I now move on to bring in the personality from Gujarat tourism, Mr. Bishwas. Mr. Bishwas has put in years to build Gujarat tourism as a brand, and he's done a great job about this. Mr. Bishwas, I remember the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel statue is something which is also the dream at the central level to bring in tourism, to make it an iconic destination. But come COVID, maybe that much of movement might not happen. What is Gujarat Tourism or just the Tourism Board doing to address social distancing, to address mass travel? What is it that the Tourism Board is now going to do in the future? Mr. Bishwas, I bring you in here.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Rima and my fellow panelists. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, very much.
Yeah. It's a good opportunity for me to talk with the Happy Hoteliers Club. It's a very simple exercise which probably every destination manager can do. I and my managers we have 11 offices across India. What we did, it's a very simple exercise. Take a paper and pencil, sit down. The destination has definite number of any state has a definite number of destinations or events. So list all of them down, which is probably in the pre-COVID era. Then you try to understand that which of these products will work in the post-COVID area. Probably you will be surprised that many of them would not work. For example, a visit to a Statue of Unity, I really don't see it immediately happening. There's a clearance from the state authorities. But many people do not know that in and around, there are around 20 other such facilities or any activities. There's something called cycling. There is called river rafting and so many other activities which will support social distancing. The problem here is what is happening is, the social tourism is now an antithesis of what social distancing. Both are opposite ends.
Yes.
So you need to find out products which promote social distancing. That is the attempt we need to do. So when we are talking about with the destination managers or the tour operators or the hoteliers, the challenge is that what kind of products will the market take up and which support social distancing. Some of the products I can say at my end, or probably I think we have something called polo forest, or it could be in any other region, unknown place. What about hiking, trekking, adventure sports? They're all solo by nature. What about, let's say, I understood that from many of the hoteliers are here in this webinar. What about, let's say, a cuisine demonstration in your hotels?
Beautiful.
What about having a Kathak performance in a hotel for FIT? Think the culture of India is so big and so vast. What about a martial arts demonstration? What about a handicraft demonstration? So you need to think innovatively. As Ankush clearly said, it is all about quality now. So unless until you bring in those products which define quality, your earlier products will not work. At least in the short run, till there's a vaccine to this or a silver bullet to the crisis. So unless until you don't do that, you are in for real trouble. I would say that, because your pre-COVID era products will not work in this post-COVID era. So you need to rework, look at the products, and the products are aplenty. Earlier, what used to happen, or from my interaction with the trade and everything, you used to have a set number of, let's say, packages, and everyone used to tweak it little and come out with something. It's no longer going to remain the same unless until you have a big product or a great product. And I really don't, what you call differentiate between, let's say, domestic or international tourism. See, with this domestic, it's inbound, outbound. What will sell is your product. What happens in terms of domestic, you cater it to your domestic crowd, but in terms of inbound, you cater it to the foreign crowd. That's the only difference. The product remains the same. You tweak it, you see their interest, and so on. So unless until you innovate and come out with new products which promote social distancing, you are not much of, you will be probably back to where you are. So instead of thinking about what is going to happen to the future, I see a lot of webinars, people talk about statistics, and there's a question of survival and all. Why don't we, all of us can do it. I'm saying it's very easy. You just list down what all you have and try to see what all you can come out of it which promotes social distancing. So that is the thing, that the way forward. Coming back to Gujarat tourism, we initially we did launch a very nice feel good factor movie. I don't know how many of you seen it. I think send it to you also. But so I'm going to come out with the second movie, which is essentially going to talk about which products are going to work in the the post-COVID era. So saying this is what is going to be the future. This is going to be the future. And coming back about, I think some of the panelists spoke about the certification and everything. Yeah. I think it is going to anytime, whether I or with my family or anyone who walks into the hotel, or let's say even talks to a tour operator, the first thing is going to ask, where's your certification? Where is your stamp of authority? Where is your stamp thing? Yes. So that is something which is really important, and I can tell my audience here, World Travel and Tourism Council also is coming up with this kind of protocols. They have already launched 2 of them right now. One is for the hotel industry, and the second is for the shopping industry. So, and they're going to come out with others also. But the idea is that credibility, certification, these things are going to be important, because this is the thing the consumer is going to ask in this post-COVID era. And lastly, the only thing I want to think and future in terms of is, earlier in the government, we always had a disaster management department or something of that. It's always existing in the government. But now I think in the private sector also, people would have a plan B department. What do you do when you face with a crisis? How do you handle your employees' salary? How do you handle working capital? So you need to have a plan B in place. Probably a think tank, a few persons who need to understand if in future, God forbid, if such a calamity comes in, how will you handle them? If your business comes to a standstill, how will you handle that crisis?
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Biswas. You made a very important point about going into these hiking destinations, doing cycling, featuring martial arts, very interesting stuff. So I think if you don't innovate, you completely stagnate, is what I believe. So innovative products, you can't do those copy-paste models anymore, is exactly what you're saying. And you're very clear that mass tourism is not going to work. We move on, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Biswas. There is just, I think I'm so satisfied because there's such pertinent points that came out of all 5 speakers of mine this afternoon, actually. One more question. I mean, anyone can take it. I think Mr. Roy or Mr. Brinda, how do you see the MICE and the wedding space, coming up in this whole era? Especially Mr. Roy said smaller weddings, yes, surely. But is there another game plan that you think from the hotelier's viewpoint? How do you think you can take this forward?
What's going to happen is that, the MICE is going to take place for sure. It's not that we're going to totally shut on that, but the numbers are definitely going to be restricted. There is going to be more and more video conferencing, but what happens these days, there's so many incentives, there's so many conferences where the leadership team has to be together to take decisions. So I think what's going to really happen is they'll probably have a meeting for 20, 25 people who will be in the hotel, and rest will be all video conferencing. So technology has to become really strong. We have to ensure that all our hotels are equipped for that. And that's the way forward. I mean, in terms of weddings, there is a restriction right now on the numbers. So I think spaces are important because it's going to be tough to go with weddings of 500 packs, 1,000 packs that used to happen earlier because, there are limitations everywhere. So let's wait and see what happens. But, business has to carry on. So the corporates will do their conferences for sure. Yeah.
So I'm saying it's going to be more hybrid conferencing. If I'm not mistaken, virtualization is going to be also very critical in this world now.
Absolutely.
Because, we can't get away with that, right? Okay, fantastic. My second question, maybe Ankush, maybe you can take it, about, how do you think travel, like especially airline travel, aviation getting back somewhere, and, maybe internal travel, how do you see this whole thing panning out?
I think if I break this into the 6 months, 3 months, and then 3 months, I think the first 3 months, Rima, it's going to be a war zone, in my opinion, because it's going to be coming to Mumbai, which used to generally take 5 hours home to home. It will probably now become an 8-hour journey because one has to be at the airport 3 hours before, and obviously through the rigmarole of getting yourself checked probably at 4-5 points. Fear factor, honestly, I think a plane will be the safest place to be because they'll check you so much before they put you on board, right? I think I'd rather be in air rather than being at a hotel or being at my own office, be it because of who I'm meeting and how many of us are being checked. Pricing in if for the next 3 months starting June, I think will be on the higher side because the airlines won't be operating with more than 40 to 50% cabin capacity. Definitely that's something which the passenger will have to bear the brunt. Starting October during the Diwali, I think things will be back to at least 70% of the airline capacity. Fares will come back to the normal levels. I think the world will move on. I think people will get used to living with Corona. So the fear factor, which will be there initially in June and July, will obviously taper off. And corporate travel will be the one which will be the first one to start, in my opinion, starting June, July. And then obviously life has to go on. I mean, be it student travel, Diwali breaks, Dussehra breaks, South India festivals. I think 1st October is the date which I feel strongly when, to a lot of extent, travel and tourism across India as well as overseas will start coming back to normalcy.
Fantastic. So on this very positive note, you're saying very clearly there's going to be a little bit of war happening, but this war is definitely going to lead to peace. And 1st October is your deadline for some amount of respite and peace. Mr. Roy also shared something very interesting and very positive with me, that the Hong Kong festival, which he conducts, is on. He's got a confirmation. People are doing business. So, Mr. Roy, thank you for this piece of information. Do you want to share a little bit before I wind up on the Hong Kong festival?
Sure. I just wanted to respond to what Girish said. Absolutely right, but if hotels are able to reimagine their spaces for those smaller wedding numbers, like I said, there is an opportunity because you're saying up to 50 people, or some states will go up to 100 people. You have an opportunity to reimagine space. So don't throw it out of the window. But again, it's about building trust. If hotels can convince their people that our central air conditioning system, which as we know right now is being addressed as the big issue, is safe, is clean, is appropriate, you will see this sector starting pretty quickly. And Ankush, in fact, the other day on one of the task force meetings, where they were looking first at leaving the middle seat free, I think that's out of the window. So you'll pretty much have full capacity from when they start, whenever that is. I mean, right now, 15 June, 1st June, whatever that new date is. International travel, I think, will not be as rosy as you have said, because, for example, I was sitting on the Australia Council the other day and a separate one with America. Both countries aren't going to be opening their borders to people, to visitors, even on existing visas for a while. Australia has already said they're going to keep it shut for about 6 months. So I think that's one of the issues. Yes, but I feel that the East, as you mentioned, Rima, the East will open up. We already have our October plans in Hong Kong sorted. All the tickets are sold out. Our sponsors are in place. The government is super excited. Of course, we still have to work out how are we going to get our artists from place A to place B, meaning into Hong Kong, and what's the result on their return. Because I can't imagine us wanting any artist to go out there and come back and then be in quarantine for 14 days in October when they come back. So that's the question right now that we have on hold. It has to evolve, but yeah, whether it's Hong Kong, Singapore as well, etc., Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, these are places, and some of the Nordic countries. I mean, Sweden, Norway, Finland, already in discussions for them. But on the other hand, places like the UK, USA, we're already now looking at 2021 at the earliest. And as you know, over $1 trillion of cancellations have happened across the world in the events and entertainment space. And that's not going to reverse itself anytime. So there is going to be a great amount of pain in that sector, especially in West End and Broadway, Cirque du Soleil, Disney, etc. The impact is fairly considerable. So the tourism at that level will have to change. But I think there's a huge opportunity, which we are seeing for niche tourism, for smaller groups, etc. We've already got requests for, say, our Varanasi Kabira Festival saying, we will book out your whole inventory, just keep it for us. But we'll pay you for whatever number of people you normally get, but just leave it for the 24 of us. So I think there are opportunities for travel and tourism if one is able to bring about confidence, and if we can push back on fear, and if we can put in place protocol, not in a jugaadu way, but really that every hotel, every airline, every tourist destination is going the extra mile, and like Girish said, perhaps having, one of our panels said, having the COVID guys or person sort of ticking the box saying that, yes, we are COVID, whatever, friendly, or we are COVID sure.
That is something that you said, that let change happen not on paper, but actually in person, in reality. And you said the Varanasi festival is looking at a very positive tone. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. I think, thank you very, very much. First and foremost, I have to respect time because I was supposed to open audience questions at 1:15. I'm 3 minutes late, but that's fine because it was so engaging. My respected panelists, thank you for this wonderful, wonderful insight for the future on positivity, on pushing fear and building confidence. On this very confident note, I, Rima Lokesh, open the audience, the ground open to Mr. Dheeraj Agarwal to come in and take the discussion forward.
So very happy morning to all of you once again, and thank you, Rima, for wonderful session. You were such a beautiful moderator today, and thank you all the senior speakers, who have put in a lot of energies. Wow, what a session today. Episode 8 is gonna rock. So before we formally open the session to our audience for question and answers, let me just give an opportunity to Mr. Mohit Mitra, who is the founder and director of SDS Home Decor, and let's have a word from him. Over to Mr. Mohit Mitra.
Hi all, how are you guys? It was pleasure hearing such elite panel of people out here. And thank you HHC for inviting me out here. It was superb listening to these wonderful talks that usually don't happen these days, right? So my company is SGS Home Decor. My company name is actually SGS Marketing India. This is my brand name. We are quite popular by this name. We have been in this industry since 1950. So we have clients in 56 cities in India and have a client base of over 20,000 people. So being in it and as I heard sir, he was saying that we have to be COVID ready. We have certain things, we have innovative things that we have come up with. We have already have 50 hotels on our board, right? We have come up with our main product is wooden flooring. We have taken the innovative products in our kitty. First of all, we have come up with some waterproof floorings, right, which will not attract dirt. So, sir, you won't have some more dust allergies going to the hotels, right, sir? So, these are easily cleanable. They will not attract. Water will not hamper them. They are not virus, bacteria do not easily get attracted to them. They can be cleaned very, very easily. They can be mopped twice, thrice a day. With decent amount of water, no amount of water can get inside the grooves. Company we deal in with is Quickstep. Quickstep is the world #1 brand. 63% of the world's total wooden flooring sold and wooden flooring material sold is by Quickstep. Pergo, other companies are just the part of Quickstep area, right? Flooring, the kind of flooring that we sell is not very usual. These are very, very high-end flooring, high quality flooring coming at a very budgeted price as the hotels will require right now. The pricing should not be high, but the quality remains constant, right? Can we go back to the last slide, please? We have new patterns coming up in flooring, which are very, very pretty. And these are few people we have already working with, like Anytime Fitness, Barista, Royal Enfield, Ducati, India Today Group. These are places where a lot of people work together. High footfall resistant floorings are coming and waterproof floorings coming with warranty with you. So they do not cause any dirt. The infection does not transmit to other. We are very hygiene conscious for the products that we sell. We are very, very particular about it. Coming to the next slide. We have another innovative product that is lures nowadays. Lures made out of wood and charcoal. This is a new product that has come up, right? These are ready-made lure profiles which can be fixed by minimum amount of people, by a basic carpenter at your place. So minimal amount of human intervention will be there while fixing the things, and they can be cleaned very easily. Even a basic, if you even spray them with water, they will not get damaged. These are waterproof, waterproof panels. They will not get damaged by termite. So, and every hotel and every place, rather than not just the hotel, can afford it very, very easily. These are fixed easily. These can be cleaned easily. These can be taken care of easily. So there is the least amount that any unhygienic thing can happen to them. These are some photographs, and these are the real photographs of the place. These are not just Pinterest photographs. There's another photograph that we have done the recently site. These are made of charcoal and PVC. This charcoal and the PVC uses is virgin plastic, so there is no harm done to the environment by using these. You can fix them. A basic carpenter, a basic person can fix them and use them. Then we have another product for the hotels banquet which usually use is artificial greens, artificial grass that everybody needs it on a very short notice. Any things you want to do, these can be done. You can lay a grass mat very easily. You can clean them very easily. Our product quality is so good that it cannot be damaged by the high rays of the sun, neither by the change of temperature, nor by any other, too much of the water flows in, nothing will not get hampered. The stocks of everything that we offer are hugely available with us. Any kind of requirements can be fulfilled to your best of your needs. Right? We already working with Best Western, Taj Palace Hotels, Ibis Jaipur Hotel, Ibis Hotel, Jaipur, Hyatt Regency Dehradun is coming up. We have already got an order for it. R-Cube is a decent requirement for the La Fair Hotel in Karol Bagh. That is a 3-star hotel and that is made very, very beautifully. Taj Chandigarh, we have recently done some GRD boutique hotels. That's in the Safdarjung Enclave in New Delhi. They make some beautiful properties and they're very, very nicely done things. Then we have a huge bank of clientele that we are doing, Royal Enfield, TDI, Movie Time, are some people, Anytime Fitness, Pan India done by us. We have done 220 offices for Aaj Tak, that is India Today Group. We have already done some kitchen studios for Taj Palace in the basement. We have already done a few things for GMR. The panels that you see outside are done by us. Wishful, there's another brand by W Store. That's a high-end brand. That is all done by us. Percy Cafe, we have done a few things for them. For any health inquiries, even if you don't have one or you want to inquire about certain things that are very, very necessary nowadays, who can be hygienically placed, any help required by us can be given at this point of time. This is the time to help each other rather than just turn out of it, right? We are open to any kind of questions, any kind of discussions anybody wants to do, any help that anybody requires. We are all open for it. Dheeraj is a great friend of mine. He can always guide you through me. Right? Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you all.
Thank you. Thank you,
so
Mohit,
much.
for throwing and sharing some light on your products. And thank you for being the partner for episode 8.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Dheeraj, I have a very interesting question actually. Am I permitted to take this forward?
Why not, ma'am?
Because we have around maybe 5 to 7 minutes more. And this question goes to Mr. Ankush Nijavan. Ankush, there is a travel agent who wants to know, as a small travel agent, what is it because they are in direct access with their clients, what will be their role post this pandemic, and what do you think should be the way forward for these small travel agents? Ankush Nijavan, please.
I mean, they're all my friends, but I don't want to say something which might upset anybody. But I see a very sincere shift of online business now coming back to offline for 2 reasons. And I'm going to talk about travel, be it domestic or outbound. One, because the paperwork and the processes will be very, very cumbersome now when you're actually traveling overseas. That's when I think a travel agent will be required more than he was ever needed in the last 5 years. Two, the help, what people needed last couple of months when they were stranded in overseas or within India, they had no idea who to speak to. And that's where I think the need of the travel agent was there when the guy was on a call away for them to get bailed out. I mean, I can tell you one thing, friends of mine who are coming back from the repatriation flights which Air India is doing, they have no idea what's going to happen when they land at the airport. They have been calling me, they're not buying the tickets from me or anything, but as a friend, I've been helping them. This is what the procedure is going to be. I think the world will now go back to the offline model, be it domestic and international. Therefore, I know Vikas asked this question, I can see him on the screen now, is the answer to what he is asking. Number 2 is, people like Expedia, the biggest company in the world, be it whatever, today are actually focusing on B2B, not B2C. Please read their annual reports. They're clearly mentioning that the focus is going back to the travel agents. So I think the fear of Vikas was probably would have been there more, but I think post-COVID, it's going to go back to the days in 2000 when we used to be actually going back to a travel agent the way they used to. Just because of the sheer paperwork, at least for the next few years. Things might change after that. It's not that something like COVID will not come, and I really wish it doesn't come for the next 20 years, but things like this will continue to happen, be it global terrorism, be it COVID, tomorrow it might be something else. And plus, he has to think more. He has to now focus on every segment. I also said, one has to be a champion of one, but I think after COVID, I've changed that statement of mine. You got to be good at everything. You don't have to be champion of one. You can de-risk yourself going forward, focusing on a different model.
Thank you, Ankush. Why COVID for 20 years? Ankush, COVID never.
Once in 100 years it happens. No pandemic like this. So I think we're all going to be witnessing this. Right?
Yes. Siddharth, I have a question. Siddharth, I have a question for you coming in. It's, our industry is peculiar. We say we are friends, we want to work together, but when will associations genuinely put their heads together as domestic tour operators, as IATO, as probably Faith? When can we all genuinely fight it all together? Siddharth Jain, do you have a comment on this?
It's a very critical and debatable question. But I would like to answer in a nutshell that, trust me, in 20 years in this industry, I've never seen industry getting together as much as now.
Fantastic.
So this is something which has happened now. Every association, every body, every forum has been getting together to fight what needs to be done. And I mean, without any egos, and I must appreciate every association's efforts. Associations have been working much harder nowadays when there is no business. All the presidents, all the ECs, because being an EC, I know they're constantly on Zoom, they're constantly on discussions with MOTs and finance ministries, they're discussing with each other. I mean, it's been the busiest time for all the associations. So, and also we all must understand that we are into a people's business. We are in the business of relationships. We are in the business of networking. This is going to stay. The only thing which all association needs to understand is they need to get together, not just now, they need to be together forever to make a one voice and reach out to the ministers and ministries and the government. Until we are one voice, we'll not be heard as much. And going forward, we need to have an industry status for us, because now that subject is now suddenly become very, very important for us. Because we need to have an industry status in future to look at our future, because our future as an individual is connected to our industry.
Sure. So exactly, you said it all, and I thoroughly believe, because I've seen the unity amongst the trade, which was very, very heartwarming. I've been repeatedly seeing constant tweets, and yes, 100% we are working together and fighting it together. This mighty midget, but we are going to be stronger than this.
Absolutely.
So, ladies and gentlemen, from remarkable.com, I would personally like to say, if you can, do try and connect with me on my FB and my YouTube channels. I make some interesting little videos of inspiration as well, because by the end of the day, I thoroughly believe we all live in hope, in harmony, and not in hatred, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, and happy Hoteliers Club. Wish you more and more happiness. On this positive note, it's 1:30, and I would respectfully say thank you very much.
Thank you. And let me just open this session for question and answers. I would request our speakers to kindly listen to our audience, and we can solve their questions. Before we do that, let me just open up our next episode for you. Stay tuned in on 19th of May, same time with us. And our next episode topic is food safety and hygiene in view of COVID-19. And I would like to announce that the sponsorships are also open for episode 9. You can contact us on these numbers, and the session is now open for discussion. So I request all the audience to kindly unmute themselves, and we can start asking the question. One by one, you can unmute and you can start asking.
I think Sweetie Suri has a question. Sweetie Suri, can you have a question? Ask your question, please.
So the session is open to all our participants. They can ask questions from us elite speakers.
Hello.
Yes, Mr.
Let's move to the.
Hello.
Mr. Rahul, you can go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi Dheeraj, how are you? Thank you everybody. Thank you Rima and the panelists here for the lovely insights. I just need a certain information, you can say. So, since I'm a furniture manufacturer and I'm supplying a lot of furniture to hotels and restaurants, so if the panelists here can advise me if there's certain materials or finishes or fabrics which are going to be used in the due course of time, keeping in mind the COVID-19 scenario, and what can we do as a manufacturer suppliers to update ourselves?
Rahul, can you just explain your question once again? Probably Mr. Bindra can answer this question because he's directly, taking your supplies in the hotel through the purchase department. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just jump in? Rahul, there is a whole scientific data available on which material that's used has COVID. The virus lasts longer and less, and that's an advisory. And you can either send me an email and I'll try and dig that out. It's on a session on JLF Brave New World, I think by Dr. Sharad Paul, but it's already out there. Metal, how long it stays on metal, how long it stays on cardboard. And if you see that cardboard has become now the new material of choice, the beds are being made of cardboard because it stays less on cardboard. It's 4 hours or 6 hours on cardboard. Everything else is 24 to 36 to 72 hours.
But then,
That's very interesting.
Since like we see restaurant chairs or the beds in the hotel rooms, I'm sure cardboard will not be able to stay for a very longer time, and it will not be possible for a hotelier to change their beds after every 15 days or 20 days or maybe 2 months. So I'm sure wood has to be there. So any suggestion on that?
Well, Rahul, like Sanjoy said, there are specifications on this, whether it is a curtain, whether it is your bed cover, whether it is your carpet, your flooring, your taps, and each one there is a specification. So if you do send him a mail, he'll probably, I don't have it with me as of now, but Sanjoy will be able to tell you. But like if you heard, this is what we said, that you have to give some breathing space to the rooms. So if you can, especially now for the next few months, keep the rooms vacant after checkout for 24 hours, 36 hours, you're fine and you're safe. But still, it's always better to go because, sooner than later, I think occupancies are going to rise and the need of the hour is going to be real turnaround. So all these specs are important, and I think we can take Sanjoy's help to get all this stuff.
Rahul, you can put this question on info@happyhotelierclub.com, and even on the Facebook, we'll get the answer for this from Mr. Sanjoy and Mr. Girish.
Sure, I will do that. Thank you, Mr. Bindra and Mr. Roy. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Please go ahead.
Ma'am, my question for Mr. Bindra, sir. Nowadays, all the doctors and news channels say the COVID-19 are spread from the centralized AC. The hotels can do for this, or what they plan for that?
So can we have your introduction, please?
Yeah, my name is Ekant Katyal. I am a staff of TBO.
Okay.
Can I have your question once again?
Yes, sir. Nowadays, all the doctors and news channels tell us the COVID-19 are spread from the centralized AC. How hotels can improve the centralized AC, or they can use, what can they do?
No, I don't think that is true because it is not in the air. I don't think that is true at all because, all hotels have centralized AC, whether it is in your public areas or it is in your rooms. So I don't think that that's a fact. At least I haven't come across that anywhere as of now.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
See, the most important thing is the hotels have centrally AC. So all you have to do is maintain the cleanliness and the hygiene conditions, which are very, very important. Because you can't change the central AC system at this point in time.
Hello, everyone. This is Anuj Bansal. I just want to ask one question that do we have any certification in place or in coming up maybe in pipeline which can certify that the property is sanitized with the proper manner? Because a lot of corporate clients are currently asking whether we should go with any branded or local hotel. They never be sure that the hotel is sanitized with proper chemicals, with a normal washing powder, or with the proper sanitizers. There is no process for that, and each and every hotelier is doing their own way and trying to get some cost cutting as well as some hygiene managed. But there is no particular way to identify that. Is there any way identified by the government or by the hotelier association for this?
Anuj, I'll answer that question for you. There is, like Mr. Anil Rao also mentioned in his talk, that what the government is coming up with this. There's something called classification of hotels, whether it's a 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, or 5-star hotel. And earlier, if you needed 10 things, today you need 15. And there's a lot of stress on hygiene and sanitization of hotels, whether it is your back areas, whether it's your kitchens. So all these are going to be checked, and that's how they are going to satisfy the clients, and that's the only way you get your classification certificate. In fact, we've already there's one circle already out from the tourism ministry that they've extended this for 60 days, and after that there are certain 10 more points that they've come out with, which we have to follow, and then only you get classified. Otherwise, you don't get classified. So it's very, very important for all hotels to follow that. Those guidelines.
Okay, thanks.
So Mr. Gurdeep Singh, I think he has some questions. Mr. Gurdeep Singh, if you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, I'm Gurdeep here. I'm founder of Samban PR. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I have a question. Like, it may sound a bit funny, but we are talking about social distancing, whereas this whole profession, the hospitality, everything is based on social integration. Like, if we have social distancing, how is it going to go forward? Like, this is one thing which I've been wondering, like, if we go and meet each other, right? And if we are at distance, how are we going to have a meeting, or we are going to socially integrate? So I think somewhere we will have to kind of find a way out to have a certain group of 20, 30 people, and that's it, and we will not have integration with others. Would that be possible in the given scenario?
I'll just take that question. So in both the task forces that are in operation right now, looking at the protocol, in some states you're looking at between 20 and 30 people. In some states you're looking at above 50 people. In green zones, however many they are still, you're looking at no restrictions whatsoever. So if there are hotels and tourism projects in green zones to where you can get your client base, there's no restriction. So this is an evolving situation. It will be revised every 3 weeks. The committee will meet and revise the protocol that's in place. And I think the hotel associations are also part of that committee. I do remember seeing a gentleman from the hotel association. So it's not frozen, and you will see by October. Okay, let me put this in perspective. If they hadn't opened the booth vending in the way that they had with the crowds, they were hoping that by August, India would have had a flat line. Now that's increased to an October, because you're looking at 2 million people also coming back into India who are stranded outside. So you're looking at the next spurt in September, October. Post that, again, you'll see a opening up. Again, you'll see a clamp down. So this will continue for a while, all the way into early 2021. But you will see a relaxation fairly quickly. It won't last. Let me assure you, it won't last. But you will see the relaxation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roy, for this.
Yeah, we have Mr. Himanshu Kapoor with us from True Blue Travel. Sir, would you like to ask any question? Mr. Himanshu Kapoor?
Hi, good morning, everyone. There is a problem with the video right now, so will not be able to come as of now. No questions as of now, because we know that the industry is going down. But yes, as Mr. Nijavan said, that we're going to cover up everything once the people are coming back to the offline mode. So hoping for the same, that very soon the things will be back to the normal, and the boom will come very soon into early 2021. And let's hope for the best. Thank you, Dheeraj, for asking this.
Thank you, sir. Any of our participants who has any questions, please come up with them.
Mr. Roy has another webinar, so he's requesting if he can step out, because he has another webinar scheduled.
Right.
Thank you so much, Dheeraj. Thank you, Tarandeep. Happy hoteliers. Best of luck. I know it's gloom and doom, but we'll all get there together. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for being there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Sanjoy. Take care.
Thanks. Bye. Bye, Rima.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
So Taran, I
Any further questions?
Yeah, please. Please go ahead. Please go.
I think Miss Sweetie Suri had a question.
Is she there? If she's not there, then let's move to another person.
Okay.
Manav, you had a question, please ask the question. Manav Sharma.
Talking to one of the persons who was there on this on the Zoom meeting, and he has some problem with his audio. So I would like to say on his behalf that he runs this company called Taj India Tours, and they are primarily into car rentals. And they have car rentals available in Kolhapur, Jaisalmer, Goa, Patna, Gaya, Hubli, Hindon, Delhi, Kolkata, and Chennai, and coming up in another 15 airports. And they have a very unique system where they have partitioned the driver and the passenger area. One, two, every time there is a drop or a pickup, after that, the car rental, the car goes to the parking lot.
I'm sorry to intervene. I'm sorry to intervene. The voice is not audible. I request everybody to mute themselves, because that's a respect to the speaker who's speaking. Kindly unmute only when you're speaking, please, because there's a lot of background noise otherwise. We can't hear.
Yeah, so
over to you, Manav.
Yeah, thank you. So they have this very interesting concept where they have a partition between the it is a visible partition between the driver and the passenger. One, two, it is a point-to-point pickup and drop. The car does not go anywhere else. It goes from the garage straight to where you are, picks you up, drops you to where you have to go, comes back to the garage, gets sanitized before the next pickup. The drivers are, they don't use public transport, so on and so forth. So they have a huge set of things that they're doing at the back end to make sure that their drivers are sanitized, their cars are sanitized, and these are kind of concepts that a lot of people in the industry can look at. I know Taj India Tours is one, and he said that he wants to say this to other people, that even though if there are other people who are looking at these things, they can ask their tour operators, taxi operators to have these kind of measures in place. So thank you, Ranbir Singh, for suggesting this, and thank you for doing this.
So Manav, my question to you, through whatever you just said. So this is a system which he has made prior, or it has been just introduced in his company?
So he has introduced this now, given the COVID situation. So he has been running this company for the last 15 years, but given the current situation on all those airports and other places, including Delhi, he has put this new measure in place to make it completely safe to travel for people to go to hotels, people who don't have their own transport or would like to use. If I have to travel to Mumbai, I mean, I can't take my car and park it where. If I have to take a flight. So, so for people who have to go point to point, it's a very good, I think it's a very good.
Sure. So this is a good best practice.
Yeah, very good practice.
Right.
Just to share with you all people, I have a very wonderful video with me, which goes up with our name, the Happy Hotelier Club. So let me just share that positive video with you all. It's a 2-minute video, and I'm sure you all would love it. So just have this video.
In the hustle and bustle of life, it was a small virus that made a silent but big entry into our lives and shook it up forever. When we thought we were victorious, it showed us how vulnerable we were. Diamonds fixed. It showed us how confused we are. When we thought we had discovered the world of artificial intelligence, it showed us what truly matters is emotional intelligence. I wonder what this life-changing phenomenon means to you. But for me, it shows me the mirror once again that brought in remarkable reflections. It showed me once again that all that matters in life is looking back at every moment and memory with deep gratitude and gratefulness. The world is in a fragile state, and so are most of our relationships. Our freedom to meet, greet, walk, and talk has been replaced by fear. fear of the unknown, and a future that's unclear. Therefore, please take your time to smile a bit more, to forgive a bit more, to thank someone a bit more, to stretch your hand a bit more, to give rather than take, to say, I value your presence a bit more, to cherish simple life pleasures a bit more, to encourage someone a bit more. Take your time to value your taken for granted freedom a bit more. Because by the end of the day, we are all a fragment in this fragmented world.
Thank you, Miss Rima Lokesh, for this wonderful video.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. It was my script and my voice, but I just did it with all my heart. So yeah.
So I would request Ms. Tarandev Full to kindly conclude the session. Over to Taran.
Thank you, Dheeraj. I think we had a very fulfilling session today with esteemed panel and such beautiful takeaways for the day, which I think I would not repeat because I think we are still with it. We are still breathing in and we are still, in that zone. And Rima has been concluding after every question to the panel here. So I think it's been really enlightening to have, all our panel speakers today for all their value additions to this forum, this episode, and overall to Happy Hotelier Club. We are really elated and we are very happy that this episode would really stand forever, and we will build on it for sure. And it's our promise to the industry. It's a promise to the industry that we will definitely build on it and take a lot of things forward which are the need of the hour today. So I conclude this. I thank everybody, more so the participants who have made this episode very successful. And I would also request and leave it with this note: if you can, like our Facebook page and put up queries, talk to us, that will give us motivation. And secondly, we would need what is required and we would really take it forward. So we are concluding this session, and our 9th session would be obviously announced soon, and the dates are already there. We are doing it on 19th on safety and hygiene, which is a need of the hour. I think a lot of people have actually placed a request. So we have actually designed the entire safety program on it. So look forward and hope you enjoyed today's session. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, all of you. Stay safe, stay at home, and see you soon on 19th. Stay tuned with Happy Hotelier Club. Do visit our website, happyhotelierclub.com. Do not forget to like us on Facebook. Bye-bye. Take care. Stay safe. Stay home.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.